Good evening, Dice Tower friends, and welcome to the Dice Tower Daily Chat. Happy Monday evening. Thrilled to be back talking with you all tonight, and I'm also thrilled to introduce my special guest. Many of you may know him through the Dice Tower. You may know him through other various, things. We'll go with things, Brandt. Other things. Things are good. Brandt Sanderson, I am thrilled to have you on. Would you just give a little intro to the lovely Dice Tower chat people about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Brandt, and basically I wait by my phone and hope Mike DeLisio calls me and wants to talk to me. That's my main thing. No, so anyway, I do a podcast on Surprise, the Dice Tower Network, and it's called the Portal Gaming Podcast. And basically, as far as I know, it's the only podcast about a store. So it's about our FLGS, the Portal, which is in Manchester, Connecticut. So, and that's kind of interesting. With everything going on now, we're remodeling the store. So I'm actually there, even though we're closed, and we're remodeling everything, which has really kind of been interesting. So
I can imagine.
That's what I do. And you'll find me at all sorts of conventions, usually attempting to help at the Dice Tower booth.
And I think that's where we met. I'm pretty sure it would be at one of the conventions at the Dice Tower booth. Had to be, right?
Sure. Maybe Dice Tower Con, we played stuff together.
Yeah. Well, we definitely, although I think before that, you taught me Root at Gen Con. I know that, but that was, we had met before then, though. I knew you before then.
I think the Dice Tower Con before that.
Is that where, close, maybe that is.
I think
maybe
Dice Tower
Con's
is July, and then Gen Con's August, so it's like a 3-week turnaround. You see everybody again.
Yes, exactly. I think that's what it is. One thing I'm doing right now, Brandt, is I am looking through the comments because I'm checking if there are any microphone issues. Because let me tell you, if there are any, I'm going to see them. I'm going to see them here. And Gator Dave, let's see. Gator Dave says, hopefully Mike has his mic issues all mic'd away. Well, that's a very Mike thing of you to say, Gator. Thank you for your mic. Hopefully I'm okay. I haven't seen any wailing and gnashing of teeth yet. So we're gonna take this as we're looking good, we're feeling good, we're sounding good, Brandt. I know
hopefully we don't mic it up.
That's right. We've got the looking good and the feeling good on lock. The sounding good, I'm gonna wait until we see here. But before we get started, Brandt, I did want to let everybody know that is watching tonight, and if you happen to watch this later on, that the Dice Tower Kickstarter, the late pledge, is now open. So if you, for one reason or another, didn't get in on the Dice Tower Kickstarter and wanted to check out some of the really awesome promos and other cool stuff that there is to see, check it out. You can still get in on that. And if you did get in on it and you wanted to add some stuff or take a look and change things, now is the time to do it. It is up and ready to go. So I just wanted to throw that out there so that you, if you weren't aware, now you're aware. Yes? All right. Well, Brandt, I see that we've got a number of comments. I don't know how many questions. We'll see. Let's take a quick gander through. I see some familiar names. See Coraloo, Gator Dave, as I already said. I think I even saw Mr. Roy Canaday in there earlier. Yeah. Yes. Roy came in to say Brandt the Beard Sanderson.
Yeah, it is. It is getting prolific.
Yes. And you got a shout out from Rainier.
Oh, excellent.
Our good buddy Rainier.
He's a fellow Swede.
Yes, indeed. You know, it's funny. A friend of mine and a friend of the podcast that I do, Sporadically Bored, posted on our Facebook group today talking about Swedish proclivities to have food in tubes. Are you aware of this, Brandt? Are you aware of the Swedish food in tube cultural phenomenon?
I'm thinking more cans. We have always had like a traditional Swedish Christmas, and I feel like there's a lot of things that come out of cans.
Okay.
There now it's basically an IKEA Christmas is what we have at my family gatherings.
Sure. Well, my friend Marcus, who lives in Sweden, as far as I'm aware, he lives in Sweden, was posting that they have a lot of like fish paste and cheeses and things like that in tubes. So I just thought that was interesting since you brought up Sweden. We have our first question, Brandt. Are you ready?
Ask me your question, gatekeeper. I'm not afraid.
Buckle up. This is from David Woogazer. Brandt, are game stores in your area doing curbside pickups? This is obviously something that some game stores are moving towards in the social distancing era that we currently are in. So what about in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, we're totally doing curbside pickup. And it's actually been pretty decent. In the beginning here, you saw a lot of people coming to kind of get things. There was a lot of paints and brushes and stuff like that. People knew they were going to kind of be inside and they wanted to get to their painting. Picking up some RPG resource books, stuff like that was definitely happening. Mm-hmm. And then about 2 to 3 weeks in, you started having people come by like big box solo games. The other day, I thought it was amazing. Somebody came and picked up Aeon's End Legacy and Paladins of the West Kingdom. And I was like, they are about to have a solo session.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it's a smart thing. I think, a lot of businesses have had to pivot. The ones that have been able to stay open at all have had to find ways to kind of do it. I was thinking for game stores with this whole curbside delivery thing, you should maybe try to gamify it a little bit and have cars drive slowly with their passenger window open. And you should try to see if you can get them into the windows. But I think that might cause some box crushing issues, and I don't think. Yeah,
our governor might have a problem with that too. I'm not sure.
It's actually not a good idea, Brandt. I sometimes say things without thinking. I don't want to. Solo Play Gamer asks, "What's your favorite type of board games?" I'm gonna go. I'm gonna just say this has been my stock answer lately. I like what I call the hybrid style games, which are games that maybe on first glance have a little bit more, you might think it's a thematic or even a Ameritrash type game, but it really is built on Euro mechanics. So I'm talking about things like Inish or Scythe, is kind of a classic example of that. Or a recent one, Brandt, I don't know if you've played this, but man, I am over the moon on this game lately, is Mezzo. Have you played Mezzo?
I played Mezzo once.
Oh, man. I love it.
I am not an area control person. That's probably my least favorite mechanism. I struggle greatly with the I have the lead by 1. Should I add more? Are you going to add 2 and overtake me for the lead?
Right.
But there was definitely a lot there. I liked how all the factions were different and everything in Mezzo, so it was interesting on that front. Yeah. And a lot of interesting choices with I can't remember, there were like priests, and there were also warriors or something.
Sure, you had warriors and shamans basically, and you could lose the region. You could lose the majority in the region, and therefore lose whatever the randomly placed reward was. But you can, if you have the majority in shamans, you can go to the codex, I think, and if you had the majority in the warriors, even if you lost the region, you can go to the calendar. So I think that's really a smart thing where you could lose the battle, but you can still gain a reward.
It's
smart. It's smart. And area control, it's so funny because I would not say that is my favorite either, but so many of the games that I like tend to have some element of it, so it's hard to say. So what is your favorite type of game then, Brandt?
I mean, I feel like I'm an Omni gamer, but I definitely would say my favorite experience is the heavy Euro. That's my favorite thing that I get drawn to. I really enjoy teaching games, as you know.
Yes.
And so when somebody says, I want to learn this heavy game, will you teach me? I'm there. But I think in terms of heavy games, I've discovered that I really like Euros versus highly interactive games.
Okay.
I'm not against interaction, but when you start to getting to auction and player takeover, and those are like strong elements of the game. I don't like those as much as just let me run my engine and see if I do better than you, kind of.
So have you played PAX Premier Second Edition?
Yeah, I played it at Gen Con twice in a row. Twice?
Okay.
I can't remember. We played it at those tables in the Hyatt,
Okay, so did you dislike that game? That's highly interactive, that game.
No, I like that game a lot.
Okay, so that's kind of an outlier.
But the game is all about that. That doesn't really have a lot of Euro mechanisms.
It doesn't have. It doesn't seem to have a lot of mechanisms. That's one of the reasons why that game is so interesting to me. Is it doesn't seem to have a lot. It's like, oh well, it's a tableau builder. Well, no, it's really not. It's an area control game. No, it's really not. It's a market resource game. Well, kinda, maybe, but not really. It's so unlike any other game, and it might just be I haven't played every game, and I certainly don't skew into the coin war type games, and maybe those type of mechanisms are more prevalent in those games, and so it's more novel to me. But that game still kind of blows me away.
Like a coin game, it does have a little bit of that feel to it.
Okay.
But to stray completely away from heavy Euros, like a game that I think was highly underrated last year was We're Doomed. You ever heard of that game?
Oh, I've played it once, and it was much. I'm going to preface this by saying, if you could describe a game that in theory I would absolutely hate, it would be We're Doomed. Because I'm not big on party games. I'm not big on social deduction type games. But for some reason, that game had the right tone, and it was over at it was like the timing was just right, that I actually had a really good time with that game. And you're right, no one's talking about that.
No, it was great. I mean, so ours is, you're all trying to get on the spaceship and get off the planet in 15 minutes. So we all made a pact. There was like 11 of us playing or something, whatever it was, 8 of us, I don't know. And we made a pact. We're like, we're all going to work together. We're going to make enough resources to get enough seats on the ship. And then the first card we turned over was, there's only 2 seats on the ship.
Right.
And it was an amazing moment. Everybody just didn't know what to do. And it was so good. I love that game. I mean, the key to it is they don't even need to have all the cards be good. Just 7 out of 10 cards are good, and it works. And they've got some really great cards that try to get you to do unanimous votes and everything with a timer. Right. It's genius. It's so good. And that's nothing of a heavy Euro.
No, but I'm with you. That's a good game. And also, I also hate timed games. And so for some reason, that like breaks every rule of mine. Okay. All right. I got an official confirmation that the mic is sounding good. Okay. Got a question from Jordan Schoenberger. Brandt, is this an original Nicholas Murphy behind you? Do you have a Nick Murphy art print behind you?
I do. This is actually my wife's office. So got a couple of this. This is a picture from Gen Con, from the artist's gallery at Gen Con. And this is a Nick Murphy right here, a Wakanda Forever. It's not an original. I think it's a replica of a Nick Murphy.
Okay.
He got that for Kathy. And then actually this up here is my grandfather, who I share a birthday with, although he passed away some years ago. And he's driving a horse at a local horse farm. So.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Up here. Yeah.
All right. Oh. I'm going to put this question up there, even though I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to answer this. Cora Lou asks, question for Mike or Brandt. If you had a theme song, what would it be? If I had a theme song, what would it be?
This is super embarrassing because I have a theme song.
Yes! You have an actual theme song, Brandt?
Somebody wrote me a theme song.
Okay, so I'm trying to imagine a scenario where either A, you would commission a theme song, or B, someone would, out of the blue, offer you a theme song, Brandt. So I think you need to fess up here.
Okay. This is a guy I play music with because I play bass and he's the guitarist, and he wrote me a theme song. So my nickname is actually The Brandt because there aren't really any other Brandts.
Right.
Secret Cabal know a Brandt that I've never met that they play with. But anyway, so it's The Brandt. So if it starts with a B and it ends in a T, if it has a silent D and it's who you want to be, it's the Brandt. It's the Brandt. It's the Brandt. That's my theme song.
Coraloo, we're going to stop right there. I don't think I can add to that. I think that needs to stand on its own merits or fall on its own petard. That's Brandt. I applaud your bravery for putting yourself out there.
No problem. That's what I do best. Put myself out there. Like I was thinking before this, we should have been the first ones ever. We should have just put our camera on our pants, and we could have gone shirtless.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that's really. I don't think the Dice Tower Daily Chat is ready for that.
The question's always whether you're wearing pants, right?
This is a good point. I'm not currently wearing pants. However, I am wearing shorts. Okay. Looks like you've got someone that's part of your game day
nice.
at the portal. Adam Harris.
That name doesn't sound familiar to me.
Says, hello, Brandt. Missing game day at the portal. So glad tabletop simulator exists, but not the same.
Oh, nice. Well, Adam, that's awesome. I'm glad. I do know an Adam, and now I'm thinking that I do know him, and I just didn't realize a last name. So
gotcha. Well, these things happen. It's all good.
Let Adam know that it's going to be awesome when we reopen because we're remodeling everything. So I'll be really excited when people come back.
So, let's just take a moment here. The remodel, was this something you had already planned, or are you just kind of taking advantage of the opportunity of having some time in the store?
Yeah, no, we're totally taking advantage of the opportunity.
Okay.
We figured while we have this downtime. So we got issued. Obviously, we're in Connecticut, and we're very, very close to New York.
Mm-hmm.
We're tiny, tiny states, right? So you got to remember that New York is it's like 2-hour drive, so
right,
very close. So Connecticut, we've been closed. We're going to be closed basically till June.
Okay.
So stretch through April, March and April now through May. Like May 20th is the day now. So we figured with 2 months we should do something. So we're just taking a look at our stock and setting up demo tables for miniatures and setting up little demo area to put some small like dexterity type games, have an area for like families that are coming in to kind of see games and display things and kind of have the hotness in one area and have kind of the other games that sell a whole bunch in an area and kind of remodel all that space. So that was kind of our thought process. And then we've been up there doing that.
I mean, it's a good idea, making kind of the best out of a bad situation. And I worked periodically at a game store just for fun while I was teaching. And there were often times where we'd have these great ideas, and it's like, well, yeah, but when are we going to be closed for 3 weeks? You know what I mean, to make this happen. So, hey, we have confirmation, Brandt, official confirmation. Rainier says, yup, lots of foods in tubes in Sweden. Thank you for that official coordination. Now, we've got 2 Swedes that have confirmed, so now it's true. One Swede is, it's not official. Once you get 2, it becomes official.
That is official in Sweden.
Right. Roy asks, Canaday Roy, that Canaday Roy, you know that one.
I know him.
You know that guy, right?
I did.
Although he's going by the moniker Epic Gaming Night. You have any any idea what that's all about?
I think he's living in the past, man.
Roy asks, why is Mike wrong about Marvel Champions? All right, Brandt, hit me with your best shot. Come at me.
I really like Marvel Champions. I don't know what you think about it that would be wrong. Do you dislike it? Do you wish it didn't exist?
No. I wouldn't say that at all. My bigger issue is with the model. So it's not anything that's really specific to Marvel Champions. I won't go into tremendous detail. I don't do well with LCGs or CCGs. I don't particularly like the not only the model of you're always continually having to buy something to feel like you're staying up with it, but also the millions of triggers and keywords, and it doesn't suit me. And so when we did our reroll video where we were talking about which is better, Champions or Legendary, I went with Legendary, although I don't love either, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And Roy loves Champions, and I'm assuming you have a pretty good opinion of it at least, right?
Oh, I think the game's phenomenal. I think I tweeted out recently that I was afraid it was becoming my number one game of all time to surpass Gloomhaven,
Wow.
which I really, really like Gloomhaven. But I've played Marvel Champions. I stopped tracking, but it's over 100 times since the game came out in November. So I have rifled through it, and I just think it's wonderful.
Wow, the best game of all time. Well, hey, look, it's impressive. It's a bold statement, and I've already applauded your courage once for singing, and twice for being so wrong. That was a bold. Darren Rhodes. These are coming fast and furious, Brandt. Are you ready?
Well, I've been on sporadically bored, so
That's
I
true.
can handle anything.
These aren't the official rapid fire questions. I have to save that for the podcast, but this is a spin-off. Darren Rhodes asks, what are the strangest games you've ever played? I have one in mind. Do you have one in mind right off the bat? If not, I can say, and you can have some time to think.
You should say yours.
Okay. So I'm looking around. I don't think I have it in hand or near enough. I played a game, an Asian game, I want to say Chinese or Taiwanese, I don't remember, called Sweet Nose. Have you ever heard of this game, Brandt?
No.
It's really bizarre. It's all based on this like traditional folklore tale where it's something to do with ants, and the reason why ants exist is something to do with sugar. And so the whole point of this game is that you've got this little market in the middle, and everybody has these 5 tiles that have a value, and you have 5 different types of candy. And you're going to secretly put a value on each of those 5 types of candies. And then you're going to be trading with the other people, and you don't know exactly what their evaluations are, and they don't know exactly what your evaluations are, but you're trying to, guesstimate a little bit by looking at what people are going for and what they're trading with other people and what they're trading in the middle. And then you flip over all the tiles and find out what the value is of all these things. And you want to have the lowest number of points. So it's kind of a golf score type of a thing. Just bizarre. The theme is bizarre. It's a fun little game, but weird. So what do you got?
Yeah. There's that Haba game, Hear Me's. It's like it's a kid's game where you have to scratch the sound, or like you have to scratch the shape of something.
Yeah.
Velcro or something like that.
Right.
And then people have to determine what you've scratched. That's a very strange game that actually somehow works. So that one's interesting. And then it doesn't seem too weird, but the game Antiquity from Splotter is one of the stranger games I've played. It's a Civ game, but like the whole thing with the game is eventually everyone's going to die from.
Well, sure.
From every civilization is going to die from pollution. So every turn you're adding pollution to the map till the map just chokes you and you can't do anything and your Civ is dead. Although I know
sounds like fun for the whole family.
You're supposed to win. And then, interestingly enough, it has kind of some of those things that one of those elements I enjoy, which is like partway through you get to pick your victory condition.
Oh, I do like that. I like that a lot.
That's in Heart of Crown. I don't know if you ever played that deck builder.
No, but I'm familiar with it. That's Japanime. It's a Japanime game, isn't it?
It is. Once you back a princess, you get that princess's special ability, and you do it halfway through the game.
Okay.
So I really like that. But yeah, and then Antiquity's just you're building graves for your people that are going to die. It's very morbid.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds like the Bloody Inn. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of has that element to it. But
when you were talking about the Hear Me's game, it reminded me of another weird game. It's, believe it or not, a Antoine Bauza, Bruno Cathala, maybe even one other designer, but it might just be a co-design between Bauza and Cathala called Dr. Shark. Have you heard of this game? It's an old game, older.
No.
And it's basically a game where you have this huge, you're all like Austin Powers type spies. And there's the game board is like this pool. And basically everyone's got their own individual boards and they're like puzzle pieces. And you have to reach your hand blind. And sometimes you're trying to feel texture on the back of these puzzle pieces. Other times you're trying to feel like shapes like that are kind of etched into them. It's weird. It's just a weird game. I'm not sure it's a good game, but it's weird.
Yeah.
All right. Jonah Pack asks, what solo, it says, I'm assuming it means solo. What solo games have you guys been playing lately? I I've been playing mezzo lately. I brought that up earlier, but Brandt, what game I am kind of obsessed with right now solo is Cloudspire.
Right.
I had played the game before. I had played it, and I know you. I think I was even talking to you about this on Facebook. I had played it as a 4-player free-for-all the first time, and it was with I think all of us were new or had only played once, and it took over 4 hours, or about 4 hours.
Yeah.
And nobody knew their factions, and everybody was, overwhelmed. And so while I appreciated what the game was doing, and I thought, I could tell this has got some really cool stuff going on, I was not sure how I felt about it. But then I played it again, and it was better. I played with a smaller player count. Now I've played it solo a few times now, and I am it's like all I want to play right now. That and Mezzo are the 2 games I'm wanting to play over and over again. So those are the ones I've been. Have you been doing any solo gaming lately?
So oddly enough, I am quarantined, but there are 8 people in my house. So
yeah,
we have 5 adults and 3 kids. In fact, right over here, there's a game of Tapestry that's going on while I'm live with you.
Wow.
So I have had the pleasure of being able to play full-on games during the quarantine. So I haven't done too much solo gaming. The 2 I can think of is I played Coffee Roaster, which I had never played. So I got the Stronghold game version, and I really, really enjoyed that. I know I don't have the original one. Sashi and Sashi, is that the original publisher?
Yeah,
or designers?
So
yeah.
Designer and artist. They're a husband and wife team.
And then the game I really, really like, that's totally different from Gloomhaven, though, but as a dungeon crawler, is Sword and Sorcery from Ares Games.
Oh, I haven't played it.
And I've been loving playing that one solo. Yeah, I really, really like it. The story elements are really good, and usually I'm not a story elements person, so...
Interesting. Okay.
That's what I did. I had played through the base game, and then once we kind of got the official, we're in quarantine for a while, I picked up the expansion from our store so that I could kind of continue and play more of it. But when I played with people, kind of similar to your Cloudspire, it just kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
Where I'm much more interested in playing by myself and just controlling the 3 characters or 2 characters and just keep going, because then you keep getting a turn, as opposed to 1 out of every 4 turns, you just kind of sit and wait. It's an interesting element of some solo games. You want to just be in charge of everything. So
yeah, that's absolutely true. Man, I do love that game. Let's see here. You got a lot of good questions. I appreciate. Thank you, everyone, for all of the wonderful questions. Cora Lou asks, what game have you played or owned that takes up the most table space? I've got a couple that come to mind. Cloudspire is one, but I think City of Kings, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, Cerebria, Nemesis takes up quite a bit. Cthulhu Wars takes up quite a bit. Arcadia Quest takes up quite a bit.
I got you beat.
Probably. What you got?
Tom played it live today.
Oh, Heroescape? Yeah.
Heroescape.
Yeah. I've never played Heroescape.
Giant table. We put, 3-4 sets together, built a huge thing with a mountain pass and islands and everything. And we end up leaving it set up at the house we built it. We left it for a week or 2.
That looked so much fun. That looked so much fun watching him and Melody play today. Like I said, I never played it. I was somewhat familiar, but watching it actually put together and played, that was really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a blast. I was impressed. I didn't realize they were going to build the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But that just adds to the joy of it. You watch them build for an hour and then do all that. But yeah, that's the biggest table space I can think of.
Mm-hmm. I don't know quite what your level is at the store as far as how involved you are in the operations. But this question is from Edward Serpowski, and he wants to know, Brandt, current difficulties aside, is the FLGS to company relationship changing away from the distributor model to a direct supply one, more like Stonemaier is doing? Do you have any kind of insight on that? Again, I don't know what aspect of operations, if any, you're involved in.
Yeah, I don't directly work at the store. I do the podcast.
Okay.
But I'm extremely good friends with the owner, who's sitting over there playing a game of Tapestry right now.
Okay.
And So we're still in the distributor model.
Okay.
There's some direct. When we go to Gen Con, we order some things direct. They just went to Gamma and ordered a bunch direct from Gamma.
Okay.
But those are few and far between compared to direct sales. And then if you jump into miniatures and card games, that stuff is still all, by the way. So, well, actually, now that I think about it, it's the opposite. Miniatures and card games come from like GW and from Wizards.
Right. They're not going through Alliance or GTS or anything along those lines, right? I mean, they're coming direct.
I will get confirmation on that.
Okay.
Magic, is that through distribution? Magic is through distribution. GW? Direct. There you go.
Okay. There we go. Direct from the mouth of the store owner. So, yeah, I do think we're going to start seeing, I don't have any insight. I worked, a day or two a month at the game store that I was at, but it does seem like there's going to have to be some type of shift to be nimble. The environment is changing a bit. I don't know that they're going to go away from a distributor model completely, but I do think they may have to adjust a little bit.
And it's on an FLGS, to figure things out and make it a creative, fun space and something to do. I mean, we're talking about like creating a Star Wars experience where people come in and they play Rebellion and X-Wing and Armada and Legion, and they kind of change the landscape of the Star Wars galaxy in the store, and that gives a unique experience for people,
Right, for sure.
Doing things like that as opposed to just saying, buy a game from us, that's not necessarily the only goal.
Sure, of course. You're trying to build a community. And Adam Harris, anyone else think the YouTube alerts said chit chat or daily chat with Brandt Sanderson? Was briefly excited my favorite author was going to be on. Sorry, Adam. Yeah. That may have happened. Have you ever had anyone remark on the similarity of your name to Brandt Sanderson?
I haven't. Well, yeah. I mean, people know that my name is similar, and I know. My dad gave me a Brandt Sanderson novel one year for Christmas, kind of as a gag gift,
Right.
Read this. And I didn't, because it was like book 4 in one of his series. But he saw it somewhere and just thought it was funny. But I have read, now I'm forgetting the name of the series, Mistborn.
Okay.
Which is phenomenal.
I've read at least one Brandt Sanderson novel. I can't remember for the life of me which one it was. I
He's
apologize.
Definitely a phenomenal author, so I have no problem being confused.
Yeah, and prolific too.
Yeah.
David Gazer, Mike and Brandts. I looked up Blood Rage on Amazon today, and it was priced at like $200. Is it that popular right now, or is it really that expensive? If that's really the case, that just means it's between print runs, which is surprising to me. I had no idea Blood Rage was between print runs. That if that's the case, it will be back. I mean, that's an evergreen for Kamon or Simon or whatever the correct pronunciation is this week. That's a game that continues to sell. And interestingly, because, if I remember correctly, Eric Lane came out relatively, it may have even been during the Kickstarter for Rising Sun when people were asking about expansions for Blood Rage. I want to say he said the game is done. He's not planning on doing any expansions for it. So there's actually a huge part of me that hopes that's true. I think the game should pretty much stay the way it is, but you don't have any inside info on that, do you, Brandt?
I don't, but if you want to buy it for $170, you can call our store.
Why is it $170?
No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say.
Get a deal.
Oh, man.
No, I'm pretty sure the base game retail is $80, so don't pay $200. Wait for another print run.
Right. All right, Gator Dave. Question for both. This Gator, I can tell you I'm not going to be able to give you one answer for this. I'm going to have to give you multiple. What is the best looking game in your collection, either on the shelf or on the table? I can't narrow it down. There's too many games that I absolutely think are gorgeous to keep it to one or two. And we've mentioned a few of them tonight. I mean, I think Pax Premier Second Edition is absolutely gorgeous looking. I think Parks is gorgeous. I think pick a Ryan Lockett game. I think they look gorgeous on the table. I think Scythe is beautiful. I think Cerebria is maybe garish, and that's my go-to word, but I still find it beautiful. I'm looking around me. You know what is my dark horse pick? Because it's beautiful, but the beauty actually maybe gets in the way of the usability a little bit, is Feudum. I absolutely love the aesthetic of Feudum, but it's not the most user-friendly game in the world.
Yeah, no.
So that's just a few. I could name more.
I'm attempting, so this is new for me with all
Okay.
this going on. I am attempting to paint miniatures, which I have never. Well, I probably painted some Warhammer goblins back in the day, but here's this is Luke's dad. And I have some Shore Troopers. These are from Rogue One.
Okay.
I have these and this thing here. ATST. So
yeah.
I have taken up painting, so I'm trying to make my own game look beautiful. That's new for me. But I would actually pick Ashes, Rise of the Phoenixborn. That art is amazing.
Yeah.
Fernando Suarez.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Art is gorgeous. And, you know, when it comes to games that are, like, gorgeous, I always defer to Kathy, my wife and co-host, because she definitely is attracted to games by how they look. Like, that was what makes... I could tell her what mechanisms are in the game all day. She doesn't care. What does it look like? I have to see the game. Take the game out, set it up, and then I'll tell you if I want to play it. And I can't tell how many games I've taken out, set up, and she goes, yeah, no, we're not playing that.
Wow, okay.
But Ashes was one that she was like, yeah, pre-order that game. It's gorgeous. So...
Yeah, I am a very, I've said this many times, I'm a very shallow gamer. It's important to me how a game looks. Now, I will not, generally speaking, put a game away and not play it just because I don't like the way it looks. But I support her right to do that. You know, board gaming is, it's a sensual experience. And I don't mean that in a creepy way. I mean that it involves multiple senses, right? Yeah. And if you're not enjoying the experience aesthetically, it very likely will hamper your enjoyment of the game on a mechanical level even. And there's too many great games out there to play one you're not interested in, you know, unless you have to for your job or something.
Yeah, I'm super tactile. Like, I play Gloomhaven, and we shuffle every deck. We deal out every card. Like, we don't use any helper apps. And that's not because I'm anti-apps. I just way prefer to do that stuff myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to use an app in that case, you know.
Right.
I totally just want to shuffle those decks. So that is a game that takes up a good portion of our table when we play, because we put all the little decks out for all the characters.
Yeah. Got a lot of questions. I just want to make sure I'm getting, trying to get from a lot of different people as well, if I can. The other thing is, it seems like, from what I can tell, I may not get every single question in Ecamm that comes through YouTube. I think it pulls them, but I don't know if I always get all of them, because sometimes I'll look back later and go, I don't remember seeing that question. So I apologize if I don't get to your question. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Aaron Nicole asks, is there a type of game you wish you were better at? Brandt, I'm going to let you answer first. Sorry, I feel like I've been answering first too much. I need to cede the floor to our esteemed guest.
I don't know.
You're just too good at every game, Brandt. That's the issue. Is that there's no game you're not good at.
Yeah, that's probably part of it. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer. I can't think of a type of game that I'm trying to be better at, you know, in terms of all that.
My kind of flippant answer, although there's much more of an element of truth to it than I'd like to admit, is that you pick a game, and I wish I was better at it, because I'm really not great at games. Now, that being said, I believe it's because my play style is such that although I'm always going to try, and I would like to win, and I certainly want to present enough of a challenge to the other people at the table, I'm not a min-maxer. I'm not going to sit there and puzzle out a turn for 15 minutes to get an extra 2 points. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to try to make the best move. I'm going to try not to break the game for everybody else by doing something just blatantly ridiculous by any means. But I'm also not going to squeeze 2 points out of every turn by spending an extra 5 or 10 minutes. So I don't win a lot of games. I don't lose a lot of games, but I don't win a lot of games. Rainier says, Mike, there's a really bizarre game I played, loosely based on folklore. Multiple factions, some factories, harvester mechs, Scythe, I believe it's called. I think I'm familiar with that one, Rainier. I believe I've heard of that. That is, if you think about it, kind of an odd game. Kind of this alternative history type of a thing. Rainier again comes with Pecunia non olet is a bizarre game, but it's awesome. If I know the game that I think he's talking about, I want to say that this is a game about toilets during the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
If not, I apologize. But for some reason, I think that's the game he's talking about. So I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat will tell me.
That is an odd. I feel bad. Like, I feel like I should play all these odd games. I feel boring being like, I don't know any odd games. I only play normal games.
Yes.
I know I don't, but they're not jumping into my head, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, it's you know, it's also hard to remember when you're kind of talking in a conversation to remember some of these things. Fred Perro says, wait, mezzo isn't solo. And you're right. Out of the box, mezzo is not solo, but if you get the, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, the souls for Xibalba is how I'm going to try to pronounce it. This is the this has the solo components in the game. It allows it to be a solo game. So I'm glad you said something, Fred, because I forgot. I should have mentioned that.
Do you just play with 2 factions, or do you then play with 3 factions, or is it even different from that?
It's a little different from that. So what you do is you are playing an upstart deity that wants to get into the pantheon of the gods. And so you are controlling one tribe and one god. The AI has 2 tribes and what are called vengeful gods. And every age, a new vengeful god comes out that has its own particular vengeful power that will mess with you in some way. And you randomly choose. So you have all the gods you have available. You're going to choose one randomly in age. And so you don't know what it's going to be until it comes out. And so by the end of the game, by that 3rd age, you have to negotiate around 3 other gods that are all, having influence. So most of the board during that 3rd age is influenced by a vengeful god that you have to deal with. Really, really clever. And you know how you've got those 3-step cards that you choose an action on those god cards, right? And there's 3 of them. And the way you do it is you flip over, you draw 3 cards, pick one, and you do an action on that card. And then after you've chosen the action you're going to take, which is one of those 3 rows, then you flip over the Vengeful Gods card, and they're going to do their action in that same row, and you don't know what it is until you turn it over. However, you have that same card, and the next action you pick on that card, now you know what theirs is going to be. So you're like, oh, man. So now I've got two options, neither of which I like. Yeah. What am I going to pick and deal with? Yeah, so it's really clever. Really clever.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Isle of Cats is a very strange theme for a newer game.
Yes.
Like some person who's from City of
Kings. It's Vesh, man. Vesh.
Yeah. From
the Big Bad.
City of
Kings.
What is it? What
City
is that
of
game
Kings.
Called? Okay, City of Kings.
Yes.
Is attacking an island, so you need to go save all the cats on the island.
Correct.
But you want to be the best person at saving cats.
You want to save the most cats, Brandt, because there are magical cats.
No, you just want to have the most points in saving cats. You don't have to have the most cats on your board.
The way
you have to be the best at how you stack cats on your boat.
Oh, there's no stacking of cats, Brandt. Let's not be outrageous. You have
wandering patterns of cats.
You have to delicately allow them to lay in their natural proclivities. I love Isle of Cats.
And if you played the solo mode?
Yeah, it's great.
And the solo mode is phenomenal. I've never played a game that you score your boat twice.
Yes.
And now your sister says, no, I'm jumping on your boat, and I want to get all the renown in different ways. It's great. I've never played a solo mode. I don't think it's my favorite solo game, but I've never seen anything where you score your own boat twice.
It is,
and the way all that scoring comes out is so clever.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And not only that whole mechanism that you're talking about where your boat is not only your score, it's your opponent's score. The same player board. That's so smart. The other aspect of it I really like is that there's 5 rounds, and each round you're going to turn over 1 color card. And the card you turn over in the first round, each cat of that color on your boat is going to give your opponent 5 points.
Right.
And so you get more and more. Yeah, you get more and more information as the game goes on. It's so smart. Frank West is a not only a great guy, but a really solid designer too. I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay. Coralu says, I've heard Coffee Roaster mentioned a few times, but it's either out of stock or out of dollar range, so didn't bother watching the review. So, hold on 1 second, Coralu. Brandt, do a little song and dance.
Okay. Well,
I'm back!
Everybody.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Cut my song right off.
So, this is the Sashi and Sashi version. This is the one that is really pricey, really has to either be imported or you have to get it off of Board Game Geek, and it's going to be really expensive. However, Brandt mentioned DLP did a new version that in the States, Stronghold has released. And so now this is readily available, and it's at a reasonable price for what it is. It's exactly the same game. No gameplay changes have been made at all. The theme is the same. The components are, comparable. It's really the art. And I personally prefer the Sashi and Sashi, but really, who cares? It's a great solo game. The Stronghold version looks very nice. I just have a soft spot for that original art. So you should be able to get it now. So if you have an interest, check out the review and see if maybe it is something you'd be interested in.
Yeah, I had no idea about the replayability in that game. It's through the roof.
It's way through the roof.
There's all different types of coffee you can make, and then you make them like you play 3 games in a row. And the games, once you know it, 10 minutes?
If you play just
brewing of coffee.
Yeah, if you play just one brewing round, it's about 10 minutes. But normally, what you do is you'll play 3. So still, you're talking 30 minutes, because the way it's set up is that you'll do a level 1 cup, and depending on what your score is there, it'll tell you to do an easy, medium, or hard second level cup, and then you do that for the third, and then you add all the scores together to kind of see what your score is. Mason Man 1019, Mike, does your wife play games with you? She does occasionally. She's not. I don't think she would consider herself necessarily a hardcore board gamer. She plays video games. She's really into EverQuest, that old school online RPG. She plays a lot of the classic, Zelda games and stuff like that. But we do kind of have our favorite board games that we'll play together from time to time. Blue Moon City, we like a whole lot. Lords of Waterdeep, she really enjoys. She likes Cottage Garden and Indian Summer, kind of the Uwe Polyomino game. So yeah, we play from time to time. Just she's not as rabid of a gamer as I am.
Do I get to answer that?
I think you gave a little bit of a foreshadowing when you talked about your wife being the co-host of your podcast. But yeah, go for it.
My wife definitely plays games, although she does sometimes say, I don't know that I should be on this podcast, but I always tell her that's why she should, because she's not playing at the same level.
Right.
But she's a very ironic gamer. She likes heavy games with 2 players. She does not want to play a 4-player heavy Euro, but she loves Maracaibo, Lisboa, Brass. She loves all those games. After that, a lot of 2-player duel games, so Ashes and Heart of Crown and Keyforge, stuff like that. And then she likes party games with a lot of people. So Codenames, Time's Up, I think is probably her favorite game. So she really likes to get the party games going with a lot of people. So she likes, 6, 7, 8, 10 people or 2 people.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I saw a question I was going to bring up. I'm just trying to find it again. I was supposed to make a choice for something. Gator Dave said make a choice. I don't know what I was making a choice on, but hopefully I did.
You played the crew, Mike?
I have played the crew. Okay. So, here's the crew spiel. I'll keep it as brief as I can. I think it's phenomenal. However, I think it's a flash in the pan. I think it's all the hotness. Like, remember how the Mind was all the hotness?
Mm.
Don't hear many people talking about playing the Mind. You remember how the game was all the hotness? Don't hear too many people talking about playing the game. You know what is going to be around in 5 years still is Hanabi. And to me, Hanabi is the game that is going to be the evergreen of those type of games. Is Hanabi better than the crew? I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that I think the crew is the big hot thing right now. And in 5 years, very few people are going to be talking about or playing the crew. I could be now. My caveat to that is if it does win one of the Spiel awards, then I would have to reevaluate this because that changes everything, right? Because Hanabi, won, and I think that's one of the reasons why it is still being talked about and still being played. So, I guess my amended statement is, unless it wins a Spiel, it's not going to be talked about in 5 years. Whew. Brandt, your thoughts on the crew?
All right, we beat it. We beat all 50 missions.
Okay.
It took 99 hands.
Okay, so almost
it took us 99 hands, 4 player. Yep. So 2 per one.
Okay.
And we got 4 adults in our house, and we just played right through it with this thing going on. We probably played about 3 times a week. I think it was 9 sessions, so I assume playing about 11 hands a session, and we beat all 50 missions. So the interesting part that I could see is, what do you do after that? Do you go backwards and play mission 17? Do you jump in on mission 32?
Right.
Like, you just kind of have to pick a thing you want to do and do it again. And some were kind of novel, like, that's interesting, but then when you actually did it, it wasn't that hard. Right. And others were like, this is just going to randomly happen. You kept shuffling till that. So, but it definitely makes you think and work together, and the communication's a really interesting element of the game. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Right. But I don't know, like I said, that I'm looking to go back and let's start at mission 1.
Right. My guess is, and I hadn't thought about this until you asked that hypothetical of what do you do once you're done. To me, the only way I see going through that game again, and I haven't gone through all 50 by any means, but if I had, the only way I can see going through it all again would be is if you were playing it with a completely different group. Because so much of that game is not just about the puzzle that each hand presents you, but it's how is this group going to solve that puzzle? Because different people think differently. Different people play trick-taking games in different ways. Different people communicate in different ways. And so I think that it would be a pretty different experience if you were to play through all 50 missions with a completely different group. I mean, maybe. I don't know if you'd want to do that, but...
You definitely build a meta. What's interesting compared to the Mind or Hanabi, where you kind of build some rules or structure or things you're gonna. I feel like you build a strategic meta in the crew. It feels a lot like bidding in bridge to me. Like if I take this card, I'm telling you something, and if I don't take this card, I'm telling you something, which I like a lot more. It feels more clever to me than like a Hanabi or the Mind, which just feels like let's just come up with some trick or rule we're going to follow, and let's always follow. This one you have to break even the meta rules that you make.
Right. And that's a very good point. I
never would have beat all 50 if we weren't sitting home here every night. Also, let's be realistic.
Sure, I think that
in my house. Right. It just lent itself. We were all enjoying it. It was easy at 9:30 at night to not learn a new game and just play what we already do. Yeah, and you could stop basically at any time. I could stop at any time.
I don't have a problem. I've talked a little bit about this when I had Liz Davidson on as a guest, but I don't know that I've heard you talk about this at all. The Maxter Tube says, the game that got me back into gaming is Mage Knight. Do you guys like that? So I'll just briefly restate that I haven't played it. I've read the rule book probably 3 times. I almost feel like I have to play it just because otherwise I get asked about it so much and I can't really speak to it. Other than just based off of reading the rules, I don't really have a huge desire to play it. And there's a lot of reasons that I won't go into. But Brandt, have you played Mage Knight? Do you think it's the one of the best games ever made? Because boy, a lot of people sure do.
Oh, I think it's phenomenal. It's the best solo game I've ever played. I'm right there with Liz. She'll probably say she likes it more than me, but she doesn't. I like it so much I went and bought the Star Trek one just to play it with Star Trek, which is the same thing. They just slapped Star Trek on it, so I've been playing that one more often lately just to play Star Trek.
Right.
It's so good. I learned it from the rule book, and it confuses me because that learn to play where it walks you through each turn seems really good to me. I don't remember having any major issues because it gives you each thing one at a time. I mean, the beauty of that game is in the solo play because there I want to AP. It's a game where I want to AP. And if I set it up on the table and I just sit and think about my turn and then I go run and do some dishes and then I go, oh, I figured out while I was doing this is what I want to do. And then I do my turn and then the next turn comes up and I play that turn and blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's what I want to do with that game. So I don't really like it with 3 or 4 players. I don't even think I would play it with 3 or 4 players. I don't even think I want to teach it to somebody, honestly. I mean, I do because I want them to enjoy it. So I would play it at 2, but I hate the PvP in the game.
Right.
So I really look at it as a solo or a 2-player co-op.
Right.
The PvP is very bad.
That experience that you just described, taking nothing away from your experience and the validity of you enjoying that, is exactly why I have no interest in it. Because I don't want a 40-minute turn. It's just so contrary to how I like to play games. I mean, I'm down with a puzzle. I mean, I like a lot of puzzle games. But that game just felt so, just from reading the rules. Now, I can't say because I haven't played it. But it seemed, and this walkthrough that you're talking about is what really, in a weird way, turned me off because it seemed so incremental that you were having to go through 15 steps to move, it seemed like at the time. And I was just like, this seems like a slog to me. This just seems like a slog. And it may not be, it can't be because people like it too much, but for some reason it just doesn't really appeal to me. So I'm very much in the minority there.
I really like rule books. I can't lie. It's my favorite way to learn a game. I'm learning this right now. Well, sorry, it's backwards. Pax Transhumanity.
I don't think it's
learning those Sierra Madre games.
Yeah. I don't think it's backwards to the chat. I think because when I see it, it looked good. So it might be just on your monitor.
I'll hold it up again then.
Yes.
So I don't mind working my way through that rule book and doing all that. I enjoy it, and it's my favorite thing. Grab a rule book, sit in a chair outside, read it.
Gotcha.
My trick is I skip right through setup. I never read setup. I don't set the game up in front of myself. I just read the rules. And then when I actually go to play it, I set it up.
Makes sense. Yeah, because a lot of times the rule book is the first 8 pages. Michael Holland asks, why do sports games not get more love than what they do? Thoughts on that?
I guess people would rather watch sports than play a game about sports.
Perhaps, sure.
That would be me. I would just much rather be watching a baseball game than playing a game about baseball.
Yeah.
Or I'd be playing baseball. I would actually watch baseball, play a game about baseball.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I guess my first thought, and I've talked, I want to say we talked about this on a stream with the Dice Chower, one of our, I don't remember, top 10 lists or something we were talking about. I don't think that sports games necessarily translate well because generally speaking, they're fast-paced. That's not even a great way to describe. There's just
not
something about them.
Football, but basketball and
true.
Hockey.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's just something about the mechanics of sports that don't always. I think the ones that maybe would that I'm kind of thinking potentially would be like, soccer or, American soccer or football for the rest of the world. It seems like that should be something that you could at least abstract enough. Now there are soccer games out there, I know that there are, but none of them seem to have really, like Blood Bowl and Blitz Bowl are based off of football. Those are the ones that kind of come to mind as that were at least somewhat popular, and those are very, they're very loose with the idea of that even being based on football. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a tricky one.
I mean, the baseball highlights, does a good job of distilling everything down to the highlights. Because when you think about baseball, it really comes down to those moments you remember.
Yeah. Right.
Like when I think about growing up listening to Yankees games, it was like we were doing yard work and we had John Sterling on the radio in the yard. And you didn't necessarily know what went on, but when it got to bases loaded, 2 out, my dad and I stopped doing yard work and we sat around and we listened to that moment. And then, they struck out, and we go back to our yard work and we come back for the next moment. So it did a good job distilling it down to those moments, which is what makes baseball so good. And the strategy of baseball feels like it would lend itself to a game.
You would think so,
because it's by far the most strategic of all the games.
Right.
But
yeah, you know that little game that Greater Than put out a few years back, that bottom of the 9th game. I think they were trying to kind of do something like that, where they were trying to distill it to the last 3 outs of the 9th inning in a tie game.
Sure. Yeah.
Which was a clever idea, and I thought that was a smart way to handle sports games in a board game kind of package, is focus on the most exciting part of a game. How well they pulled it off, I had some issues with the game. I thought it was a little clunky, but I liked what they were trying to do.
I would also argue that fantasy sports are extremely popular, and they are definitely a game.
That's a very good point. Cora Lou, does anyone have the link to make a late pledge to Dice Tower Kickstarter? Roy, maybe. I believe, Cora Lou, I hope I'm right here, that in the show notes, there should be a link to the Dice Tower Kickstarter. And if you click on the Dice Tower Kickstarter, I believe it'll automatically forward you to the late pledge. So fingers crossed that I'm giving you good information there. If not, then we'll go and retroactively put it in the show notes. But I think that's the case. And she says, she, I believe. I'm sorry, Cora Lou. Maybe you're not. She. I don't want to make assumptions. I just see the Kickstarter page, but don't see a late pledge button. I do think that if you click on the Kickstarter, it'll take you to the late pledge. But again, if I'm wrong, I really apologize there. Okay. You want to try to get one more in, Brandt? We're a couple of minutes over, but all right. Let's find one fantastic question of all. We've already had so many. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this has been. I don't want to say that this has been the best daily chat that's ever happened, Brandt. I mean, far be it from me to be the one that said it.
Well, I sang, I danced, I showed off my painted miniatures. I've tried everything here for you, Mike.
This is true. This is true. Okay, good. Cora Lou said the link works. Awesome. Let's see. I'm going a little bit further back. We're building anticipation, Brandt. This is what we're doing. We're building anticipation. Nice. There was a lot of talk about sports games, so I'm trying to get back to... All right. We'll go to Hidden Trader. You can trust Hidden Trader. You can trust them. They always come. They're completely trustworthy. What's your favorite game mechanic? We didn't answer that, did we? E.g., deck builder, worker placement. Did we answer a version of that, or?
No.
Okay, so what is your favorite game mechanic?
It's so easy.
All right, let's hear it.
It's asymmetric powers.
Okay.
Absolutely. Gaia Project would be my favorite heavy game or game I would play with other people, because Gloomhaven, is not really something I play with other people. I don't drag it around. But Gaia Project's my favorite, and I could just keep playing a different faction every time. I actually just played Root again as well.
I was going to mention Root, yeah.
And with they've rebalanced everything, so I got the upgraded boards.
Yeah, me too.
And it was great. Like, it was a blast to play Root, and it was not long at all. Now that I've that day that I taught it to, I taught it 3 times in a row. I think you were the 3rd time that I was teaching the game.
And that was in the morning you taught it to me, too.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
at like 8 a.m. I taught a group, and then 10, and like right around lunchtime.
Yeah. And you did
powers.
You did a fine job, by the way. That was probably, I've said this on the record before, that was probably the best way to be introduced to that game. And I think that's part of the reason why I like it so much, is that I had a really good first game. It might have been, I'm sure I still would have liked it, but it was just to have it taught. If you can have somebody that knows the game at least somewhat well, teach it to you, it's the best way to be introduced to Root and games like it. I would say the same thing for, Vast or probably Gaia Project. I haven't played it, but I would imagine anytime where you have asymmetrical powers, if you can be taught by someone that knows a little bit about all those powers, it's probably the best way to learn it.
Yeah, for Root, I topped myself, I think, on that at our local convention, ConCon, which is the one Eric Summer always mentions on the podcast.
Yeah.
I taught Root to 3 tables simultaneously.
Well, now you're just showing off, Brandt.
And that was super. No, I totally did. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant it was super fun to teach 3 tables. I didn't mean to be so.
Brandt, I was
prideful.
kidding. I'm totally kidding. You were not prideful at all. I'm kidding around.
But it was fun to teach 3 tables simultaneously. That was definitely really neat.
Oh, I can imagine. I wouldn't do it, but I'm glad you did. I think I've answered this before, but I still am a sucker for worker placement. I like, especially how it's kind of evolved over the last few years, and you've seen different iterations of worker placement. I also really like simultaneous action selection. That's just something that I think is that nice reveal where you have to kind of figure out what everyone's doing.
Race for the galaxy and whatnot.
Those types of things, yeah. I just for some reason I just like that little mini anticipation and suspense every round. That's something I enjoy. So, Brandt, it's been a lovely evening. I thank you so much for coming on and answering these fantastic questions from the Dice Tower audience. And as always, I thank the Dice Tower friends and all of the wonderful questions and the positivity. This is it's a great way to end the day for us here on the East Coast. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be up too much longer. But no matter what time zone you're in, thank you for coming and spending a little over an hour with us. It's been fantastic as always. Tomorrow, we've got another live chat, a daily chat at 9 p.m. I think Tom is tomorrow. I do believe Tom is tomorrow. I believe he's with Travis Millennium tomorrow. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think so. And also tomorrow, Tuesday, is another Corner to Corner that he does with Rado. All kinds of great stuff happening. Just another reminder to, if you're interested in getting in on the late pledge, to check the link out on the bottom, and it'll get you there. Confirmed from Coraloo that it'll get you there. So, thank you very much, as always. And Brandt, let's wish everyone a fond farewell. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Good night.